Hello again, everyone, and welcome to Oklahoma Sports Scene presented by Jimmy's Egg. I'm Chris Link, along with the TPS Athletic Director, Gil Cloud, and the Hall of Fame basketball coach here, J.B. Haney. Guys, a busy week, lots to talk about, a real big show lineup. We're going to talk spring football. University of Tulsa head football coach, Philip Montgomery.
Well, we're glad to talk to Philip Montgomery earlier this week, and he was excited about spring practice. I think it's going to be a good spring for TU. They had some great recruits in, and I think with the junior college additions, it looks really good for the fall of 18.
We welcome on the show as well Scott Wells. He is the president, general manager of Remington Park. They're ready to start their quarter horse season. We'll talk to Scott about the upcoming quarter horse meet and look back on a record thoroughbred meet they've just completed too. So we're going to have Scott Wells here. Then Kelly Hines, the Tulsa World here, to talk all things TU and of course high school basketball time, JB.
Well, I'll tell you what, this is probably the most exciting time in high school basketball as you get. And this year, really, there are more competitive teams in every class. If you think you go out there and pick one that's going to be a state champion, you'd be lucky. So it's going to be great to watch.
And as far as we also have Barry Lewis, our friend here, to give us our OK Prep Player and Coach of the Month for this past month. So he'll be here as well to talk some more high school sports. Hot topics, guys. I guess everybody's talking, of course, March Madness and same time, FBI and NCAA investigations. My gosh.
The basketball thing, it seems like it gets dirtier and dirtier as we get into March Madness. And I know the NCAA is probably holding their breath that there's not another indictment before they get to the tournament time.
And Coach, it's always exciting, these postseason basketball tournaments. The Big 12 got theirs underway March 7th, and we're going through the 10th in Kansas City. AAC, the Atlantic Coast, the All-American Conference for us, for TU, and the SEC. 68 teams will make it to the NCAA tournament. And Coach, it's always a big time of year. Who's going to make it, who's out, who's in?
Well, I think this year that when you really look at it, if you think you could pick the Final Four,
yeah.
even the Final Eight,
yeah.
I think you would be totally just lucky because there is more competitiveness and more even competitiveness than I've seen in a long time.
And this year, the Final Four will be down in San Antonio at the Alamo Dome with the national championship game set for April the 2nd. Spring football underway with all the schools now except Oklahoma State. They're starting a little later, March 27th, in fact, Coach, before they get underway. They'll have a spring game on April 28th. But TU, OU, and Arkansas already underway with spring football.
You know, spring football is always one of those things that is important for the development of your young players. The older players, they know what they can do,
yeah.
You know, but to bring those young freshmen in, and then now the big phenomena is the midterm transfer from high school, to get that person in your program and get them acclimated to college life and to college football. It's going to be an interesting spring, I think, for all of our teams because they got to find a lot of players, it seems like,
right.
between Oklahoma State, University of Tulsa, and Arkansas with a new coach.
Especially OU and OSU both looking for new quarterbacks.
Well, I'll tell you what, when you are looking for a new quarterback, I have to think they have one. Now, I mean, you know, you say that they're going to bring someone out no one has ever heard of. That may be true. But you know one thing for sure, that the coaches have been working on that, and they'll have someone that can fit in.
University of Tulsa will have their spring football game on April the 7th, 11 a.m. at Chapman Stadium. OU will have theirs April 14th. And boy, Lincoln Riley has really been promoting it. Coach, he wants to sell out 80,000 plus for the spring football game because it's a recruiting opportunity now.
Well, you know what they're doing. It's all about what happens in the SEC.
Yeah.
Has got to happen everywhere else. And when Alabama and Georgia have 75, 80,000 people, in order to sell that to that recruit, you got to say we've got to have 85 or 1,000. Yeah. So, you know, I think it's a great thing. They need spring practice has gotten to a point where it's important from a skills and a fundamental standpoint. But the game itself is really passé because you're not going to play a real football game.
Right.
You can't get people hurt with the kicking game and those kind of things. And yet you need to show the fans, I mean, what the preview will be for the next year.
Well, those good old days, JB, when you used to have alumni games. You'd have the alumni come back and play the college kids for a while.
Well, that's true. And during that period of time, I always thought it was exciting when that sort of thing happened. But when you look at it today, though, Gil, from the standpoint of these kids that get to go there and miss the last semester of their senior year, I mean, that really creates a lot of just a lot of enthusiasm for them.
Oh, I don't think there's any question, and for them to be able to get onto the campus and be a part of that. Now, let's talk about the downside. You know, they give up junior, senior prom.
Yes,
they give up
right.
graduation, senior week, awards assemblies, all those things to be able to make that next step. And it's very important to a lot of them. I hate to see it, really. I think a kid ought to have that 4 years in high school to really enjoy that, just like I think they ought to have their 4 years in college to really enjoy it. But that's a whole nother topic.
I couldn't agree more, though.
That OU spring game again will be on April the 14th at 1 o'clock, and probably the cheapest ticket you can buy for Oklahoma Sooner football. So get out there and support them for this springtime. Arkansas will have their spring game April 7th. They got underway March 1st with their spring football, and that game will be, by the way, in Little Rock, Arkansas. So Chad Morris, the new coach over there, going to play the game in the state capital of Arkansas. They mentioned OSU opening the latest March 27th, spring game April the 28th. Coach, what do you think about breaking it up? A lot of teams are going like a couple of weeks, go to the spring break, then come back.
You know, the different opinions there is we wait till after spring break and we get 4 straight weeks. We get our 20 practices in and we're done. I'm not sure that I don't know what the impetus there is to start before and after, only from the standpoint that you finish up earlier. And if you get somebody hurt during that time, you have 1 more week, 2 more weeks, 3 more weeks for that person to heal up before 2-a-days or for summer workouts. And the other thing, it takes them a little bit further away from finals. You know, when you have those finals in there, you back that thing up to the 28th, they're having finals the next week. You know, so you gotta think about the education part of this thing.
Well, and I think it's great too that they do what you're saying, Gil, in the standpoint that we're all not going to go at the very specific time, because every college has a different thought behind it.
Absolutely.
So it's good that they do it the way they are.
You bet.
NBA is wrapping up or winding down. The regular season ends on April 11th, but who knows where the Thunder's going to be. Coach, they're 1 game out of 3rd and 1 game out of missing the playoffs, right? It's crazy.
And you know, the thing that really is exciting to me about the Thunder is the fact that they play the good teams well and beat them. They have trouble with those that don't have the good record.
Yeah.
And that's kind of unusual.
The mental preparedness, you know, for this game this week, we're playing somebody who has a losing record. We can make and we can't, but we know we play the Warriors or somebody like that, Golden State. We've got to be ready to play, and that's unfortunate for them because they thought they had put together a pretty good mix with the acquisitions they had over there with George and
Carmelo Anthony
Carmelo Anthony to go with Westbrook, and yet you know they're battling, and like you say, they're 1 out of 3rd and a game and a half out of being out.
I know it.
Unbelievable.
Hey, I want to congratulate the Oklahoma State University wrestling team. They won their 6th consecutive conference championship. Overall, their 52nd conference title in the great historic OSU wrestling program. John Smith, of course, the wrestling coach, the guest on our Sports Scene show just the last time. And again, congratulations, John. Good luck now. The NCAA tournament that's in Cleveland, Ohio, coming up March 15th to the 17th. Oilers hockey fans, they've got games coming up on Saturday and Sunday this week, March 10th and 11th at the BOK. We'll be back to talk spring football with the University of Tulsa's head coach, Philip Montgomery. Stay with us on Oklahoma Sports Scene, presented by Jimmy's Egg.
Welcome to Jimmy's Egg. Come on in.
For more than 30 years, Jimmy's Egg has been starting people's day off right with hot, fresh, made-to-order food. Our eggs are fresh, cracked to order every time, and there are over 40,000 ways to craft your own omelet. With signature favorites like our meat lovers skillet or decadent cinnamon roll pancakes, you won't leave hungry. Breakfast and lunch is available every day from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., so stop in today and let our friendly staff serve you.
Stop by and see us sometime.
It's got to be real barbecue, right? Not some frozen meat cooked who knows where, who knows when, and then trucked in. No, it's got to be the finest cuts. It's got to be a lot of choices, like 9 different meats. It's got to be fast for dine-in, carry-out, or catering. It's got to be smoked fresh right there that day over aged pecan wood. It's got to be the place where all the barbecue wannabes take a back seat, because they can't compete. It's got to be real barbecue, right? It's got to be Billy Sims.
Billy Sims Barbecue. Eat like a champion today.
Ditchwitz, 5 words or less.
Making the impossible possible.
Technology you can't live without.
Most versatile equipment ever made.
Customer service and support.
Reliable, productive, ground-chewing machines.
We're in this together.
Oklahoma Sports Scene, very excited to welcome our head football coach at the University of Tulsa, Philip Montgomery, in the first time he's been on the show with us here. Coach, welcome to Oklahoma Sports Scene. Glad to have you with us.
Well, thanks for having me on. I look forward to having some fun today.
Well, it's good. Very nice that you and DT set up for us. Don Tomkowski, their SID here for so many years, set us up in their 1-0 club on the second level of their press box here at Chapman Stadium to kind of look ahead for TU football for 2018. And, Coach, I can't imagine any coach in America is happy to get back on the field, spring practice, and look forward to a new season than you.
There's no question about that part of it. We're ready to get back on the fields. Our guys have done a really good job working out and training in this fall kind of training period that we've just been in. But we start spring ball on Sunday, and we'll roll 4 practices this week, get 3 more the next week. Excited to get back on the field with our guys and ready to see how we kind of start putting the pieces together for the next season.
What's the biggest thing you want to accomplish this spring, Coach?
Yeah, I want us to get back to having a chip on our shoulder. I thought we kind of lost that a little bit last year, and I thought our guys played extremely hard. But you got to play with an edge about yourself. We got to be more consistent on both sides of the football. Defensively, I think you got to eliminate those explosive plays. We got to create some more turnovers, be able to get off the field on third down a little more consistently. Offensively, we got to get back to being more explosive in the passing game. I thought that was really the biggest key. We had chances and opportunities to run the football in there. Everybody starts loading the box, and it's limiting some of those things that you can do. We got to keep people honest with the passing game, so we got to get back to that part.
Your numbers good going into spring? Everybody well and ready to go?
Yeah, well, the numbers are better. All right. The tough thing is, we had 16 knee injuries last year, and 7 of those ACLs out for the season. Those are a year-long process deal. So several of those guys with knees will not be back. We got a couple of shoulders that won't be back for spring ball. Anticipate all of them for fall. Most of them will be released by summer workouts, but they're training, they're working, they're rehabbing and doing those things, but probably won't be able to plug them in their spring ball wise. Coach,
when you take a look at what's coming up, your assistant coaches, are they agreeing with everything that you're talking about, and the kids, are they that excited?
Yeah, they really are. Guys are excited. Guys are back with that edge about them, what I like, and our leadership right now has been really, really outstanding. I mean, Willie Wright, Travis Gibson, you can go down the list. Those guys talking, keep holding each other accountable, doing the things that you want to see out of your football team at this period that we're in. Our coaches are just anxious to get back on the field. After the season we had, obviously was not what we were looking for. Not creating any excuses about it, but we have now an opportunity to get back and right the ship. And so we got to be creative. We got to make sure that we're getting our best 11 players on the field at one time and putting them in a situation to be successful.
47 returning lettermen for the University of Tulsa, 25 starters, 14 on defense, 11 on offense. But, Coach, again, last year just shows the razor-thin difference between winning and losing. Just in stark contrast to your first season, 2016. Yeah, it really was. I mean, I think back to our very first game here that I coached. We go into overtime and we come from behind. I think it was a 10-point deficit in the fourth quarter. Come from behind, tie it up, go into overtime, win it. There were several of those games throughout that year that were very, very similar to that. And then you look at the next year when we win 10 games, and you got 3 overtimes in that. One of those a double overtime, come from 31 points down. That's the difference in what some seasons are and others. And you got to have a little luck on your side. You have guys that are believing and going and working. But there's so much parity in college football. And I think our conference, especially on the west side, but just in general, our conference is really, really strong across the board. And so each week you got to line up and play and be ready to go. 6 losses last season by 10 or fewer points, 5 by single possession, including those back-to-back losses where you lost on a winning field goal. Yeah, those are heartbreakers. I mean, man. And we had three of those 5 that were 7 points or less were on the last play. So not just the 2 back-to-back field goals, but we had another one in there that we're throwing to win it in the end zone with time expiring, and we're inside the 12-yard line when we're doing it. So as you look at those things, that's how close the difference is. And it's one play here, and everybody wants to look at the last play of the game, but
there's so many more plays that happen throughout the game. It could have happened in the first quarter, could have happened in the third quarter. There's a lot of opportunities that just one break here or there, ball bounces one way for you here or there, can be the difference in you coming out on top or not.
Yeah, when I look at that last season, and almost we had that terrible loss at Tulane, which I know you were really upset about, and the entire team was. Come back the next week, and you shocked the college football. You destroyed this big Houston team, 45-17 here in Tulsa.
Yeah, you know,
that's amazing.
We switched some stuff up defensively. You know, I was probably the most upset I've ever been after that game, and there's a lot of factors in this and that. But at the end of the time, I just didn't think we played the way we know how to play football that game. We have a great week of work. Come back, and you know, Houston's come to town. Homecoming, big rivalry, close in the first half. You know, really, I think the thing that set it apart, McKinley got a pick and ran it down to the 1 yard line that we scored on. And then when we start the second half, we have I think 19-play drive that we end up having to kick a field goal on. But the next possession, we get another interception, we go down and score, and then the route was on. And that's how much just one play here or there can change the course of a game.
You get ready for spring practice, and we talked about all the injuries. What have you done, or what can you do to negate that for this next season?
Yeah, you know, we've looked at everything that we've done in our past here and making sure that we're providing everything we can to our student athletes to get them ready. You know, some of those things are freak injuries. You know, I think of Chad President in the last, you know, game of the season where he blows his ACL, and it's a non-contact type deal, just putting his foot in the ground and cutting. But we've got a new strength staff. Those guys have done a lot of research on different movements and things that we can train to help stabilize the knee, and making sure that we're doing everything we can to prevent injuries with our young men. And, you know, some of it's just bad luck that year, but, you know, you look at the year before, we were really fortunate that we didn't have those injuries and everybody stayed healthy, and then you have the type of season you had.
We come back with Coach Montgomery. We'll talk about the 2018 season ahead, some of the exciting players that he just signed, a big recruiting class. Also look at an absolute killer schedule that's going to challenge the Golden Hurricane. Stay with us on Oklahoma Sports Scene.
Welcome to Jimmy's Egg. Come on in.
For more than 30 years, Jimmy's Egg has been starting people's day off right with hot, fresh, made-to-order food. Our eggs are fresh, cracked to order every time, and there are over 40,000 ways to craft your own omelet. With signature favorites like our meat lover's skillet or decadent cinnamon roll pancakes, you won't leave hungry. Breakfast and lunch is available every day from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., so stop in today and let our friendly staff serve you.
Stop by and see us sometime.
At Rogers State University, we keep things personal.
It all starts here.
We make sure our graduates get the most out of their education.
RSU has campuses in Claremore, Bartlesville, and Pryor, with on-campus housing and a wide variety of programs to suit your needs.
It all starts here.
Rogers State University.
Celebrate your home today at Bowen's Discount Carpet for our Shop and Compare sale. Take advantage of our guaranteed lowest prices you can find, great deals on new Shaw floors, and a huge variety of brands and colors that you will have to see to believe. Let Shaw Floors spice up your space, along with 36 years of experience, and the beauty of your floors will shine. Come out to Bowen's, where we refuse to be undersold.
30 years ago, a race began along a quarter mile of dirt and dreams in Oklahoma City. Today, with the biggest prize money and the best horses, that glittering quarter mile is home to the best quarter horse racing on earth. Remington Park proudly presents our biggest quarter horse season ever, celebrating 30 years of hard racing fun. World's best, OKC's own, Remington Park.
Back with Coach Phil Montgomery here, the University of Tulsa's Golden Hurricane, looking forward to 2018. Coach, I think you look forward to a lot of things except this schedule. You've got to be kidding me. 8 bowl teams, including 6 of the 8 American Athletic Conference opponents, and you open right away with a 10-2 football team here at Central Arkansas.
Yeah, it's a killer schedule. There's there's nowhere on that schedule that you can take a breath. You start with Central Arkansas right here, a 10-2 team in the playoff system with it. You're exactly right. Then we go to Texas. Arkansas State comes to our place, who played for their conference championship, went to a bowl game last year. Then you catch Temple at their place on a short week, turn around and have to play Houston, then you're South Florida. Then you head to Arkansas, and you know how that's going to be. And we haven't had a chance to play them in how many years? I can't remember now. So, you go down there, you're playing them, and then you turn around and you got Tulane, Memphis, Navy, SMU, UConn, all of those in a row. And so it's a killer schedule as you look down it, and especially the very back end of it. I mean, when you go to Memphis, go to Navy, and then you got SMU at home, it's loaded, jam-packed full.
You talk about your recruiting this year, though. You went a little more junior college than you have in the past.
Yeah, we really did. Especially with all the injuries and things that we had last year, if you noticed, we played, I think, 22 first-time starters last year. So, in college football, that's not a good thing, right? Yeah. And so we needed to kind of fill that gap in between our older guys and our younger guys and trying to bridge that a little bit in there. So been able to, with the help of our university and our coaches doing a great job of evaluating kids and bringing them in, we've got 8 JC or transfer guys that are coming in to help kind of build in that depth. And you don't bring a JC player in to be a third team or a bench guy. I mean, he needs to be in that first team, second team depth and get able to rotate in and give you some quality minutes. And that's what we're looking for with those guys.
When you take a look at the players that you have coming in, the players that you have, it seems to me like that I hear so many compliments about you and your staff recruiting people basically from metropolitan Tulsa or Oklahoma. And haven't I read where you have been very complimentary about the football on the high school level in the state of Oklahoma?
Yeah, there's great football here in the state of Oklahoma and great coaches here. And so we want to do a great job of recruiting our home state. Obviously, we're going to branch out just like everybody else has to, but we're always going to start here. And as you look at it and you've been around it, and for me now that I'm going into my 4th recruiting year, being able to meet a lot of these coaches and being able to go back in there and form those type of relationships that you need to have while you're recruiting. We've got a great relationship across the board with those guys, and the state of Oklahoma is producing some really good, talented football players.
And it seems like that you've been getting some real good ones out of Northeastern Oklahoma A&M Junior College.
Yeah, we got several this year out of NEO, and it's one of those places that we really like their program and what they've been able to do and establish. We have a good working relationship with them. A lot of times they do a great job, just like we've got a couple of kids that were in real small Oklahoma towns that were qualifiers coming out of high school, but maybe just under-recruited or needed a little bit more development, a little bit raw. But we got a kid out of Madill, Oklahoma. If you know where that is, it's way down south. And so, he's a kid that has done a great job at NEO, had a chance to develop and grow a little bit more. And then all of a sudden you get an opportunity to bring a kid in that is, he's well-versed and he's got great experience and some stuff underneath his chin there.
This 2018 recruiting class had 23 signees, interesting, 18 in December. How'd you like the new recruiting period?
Yeah, I was for that all the way through it, and I thought it really benefited us. So we signed 18. We ended up signing 5 more on the regular signing day. Wow. It allowed us to, number one, pinpoint exactly these 5 spots that we needed to fill, but it also allowed us to kind of get on a little bit more even playing field as some of the other schools around. Because we were able to, as a coaching staff, we're still recruiting these 5 guys, but we're able to start on our 19 class and start building that where, several others in different conferences are being able to do that all the way through. For us, in our normal recruiting cycle, if we were everybody signing in February, I'm spending the whole month of January just trying to hold on to what I got, because if this school loses a kid, then all of a sudden they're coming to mine and they're starting to poach and take. And I've signed my guys and they're locked in, and now I can start working a little bit more on an even playing field.
As we move forward in college athletics, obviously this week basketball's taking a pretty good hit. Do you see much of that, do you think, or as much as we've read about in intercollegiate football as there is in basketball?
Honestly, I'm not saying there's not guys out there that aren't doing things right. All right, let's don't live here in our own little house. That being said, I don't see it as dramatic as what it is in basketball. And a lot of that, I think, is due to, for us, I'm doing all my recruiting through the high school coach and relationships that I have with them and their parents and so on. When you start dealing with basketball, there's so many agents, handlers, AAU basketball, the high school coach is really not involved, this guy's more involved. I think there's more of that maybe going on in basketball. I'm not a basketball coach. I'm not trying to throw them under the bus. I'm just saying I think there's more opportunities for guys like agents to get their hands on kids at these showcases and other things where football, you're still going to play it on Friday night and you're going to line up and get it done.
That's right.
Coach, as we wind things up here, it all starts at any level of football with the quarterback. What's the quarterback situation? I know for the first time, it's hard to imagine. We had our worst passing stats since 1995, only 6 touchdowns among 2 quarterbacks, and Chad President, Luke Skipper. What's the outlook this spring and for the fall for quarterback?
Yeah, obviously, as you look at it, Chad this spring is not going to be able to do anything because of his knee. Luke's got the most experience coming back. He'll be the first one to trot out there with our first team. He got a lot of valuable experience, but how is he going to use that experience through spring? He knows, and we've said it very clearly in our meetings, I'm looking for a starting quarterback. Yeah. We're going to have an open competition, and if it's a true freshman, if it's a redshirt freshman, if it's you, I don't care who's it's going to be, but I want a guy that's going to come in here, be consistent, make mature decisions, move our football team, and allow us to be explosive, spread the ball around, and we got to get back to being able to spread the football around, and our receivers got to do a great job of coming open and making plays.
April 7th is the spring game, 11 a.m., the kickoff time at Chapman Stadium to look at the University of Tulsa's 2018 squad. Coach, again, thank you for taking the time here. I know it's a busy time getting ready for spring, and wish you all the best. And if anybody deserves and has earned some luck for the 18th season, it's the Golden Hurricane. And again, their season starts September 1st here against Central Arkansas, and an incredible schedule with trips to Texas and Arkansas. And again, all the bowl teams are playing here. It's just incredible what TU's facing. But wish them all the best. We have something for the coach here.
Well, Coach, this normally would be Jimmy's Egg, but since we're taping on a different day, you get to go to Bricktown Brewery.
Hey, I appreciate that very much. Thank y'all. That's right down from the house. I'll be
Perfect,
there.
Good. Philip Montgomery, head football coach, University of Tulsa, looking for great things in 2018. Back with more of Oklahoma Sports Scene right after this break. And a word from GTR with our man, J.V. Haney.
If you haven't had an opportunity to see the GTR, let me encourage you to pick one up. There are 6 in metropolitan Tulsa. And any time that Forrest Cameron puts one out, it has some interesting reading. If you want sports, Darrell Lester always writing some great sports stories in there, business, any type of education that you might be thinking about, they're in this particular magazine newspaper. So let me encourage you, get you a GTR today. You'll enjoy it.
And we're happy at Oklahoma Sports Scene to be welcoming in 2 new sponsors with us, the Tulsa Roughnecks and the Tulsa Drillers. It's that kind of time, soccer and baseball coming up here for the Roughnecks. They'll be starting March 17th over in Oklahoma City. They'll be taking on Oklahoma City Energy there, coming back then to start their home season here. And then we'll have the Tulsa Drillers. They get underway April the 5th at Frisco. And they'll be coming back for their home opening series April 12th to 17th. Welcome, the Tulsa Roughnecks and the Tulsa Drillers to Oklahoma Sports Scene.
It's got to be real barbecue, right? Not some frozen meat cooked who knows where, who knows when, and then trucked in. No, it's got to be the finest cuts. It's got to be a lot of choices, like 9 different meats. It's got to be fast for dine-in, carry-out, or catering. It's got to be smoked fresh right there that day over aged pecan wood. It's got to be the place where all the barbecue wannabes take a back seat, because they can't compete. It's got to be real barbecue, right? It's got to be Billy Sims.
Billy Sims Barbecue. Eat like a champion today.
Rising from the plains of Oklahoma is a destination for scholars and thinkers, dreamers and doers. This is where hope, hard work, and integrity create tomorrow's catalysts for change. And excellence is the standard demanded not only of your head, but your heart. This is Oklahoma State University, America's brightest orange.
30 years ago, a race began along a quarter-mile of dirt and dreams in Oklahoma City. Today, with the biggest prize money and the best horses, that glittering quarter-mile is home to the best quarter horse racing on earth. Remington Park proudly presents our biggest quarter horse season ever, celebrating 30 years of hard racing fun. World's best, OKC's own, Remington Park.
Got to switch now to horse racing as we welcome in Scott Wells, President General Manager of Remington Park in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma's premier racetrack. And I guess they say it's not bragging if it's true, Scott. You're about to start what I've heard horsemen around the world say, and in this nation, this is the best quarter horse meet in horse racing.
Well, it is, Chris. The average purses are going to be around $330,000 a day. So the average race will be about a $33,000 purse.
Wow.
But we also have $1 million race, an $800,000 race, and some really big ones sprinkled in there. So it's quite a thing that has happened here in Oklahoma.
March 9th all the way through June 2nd, in with, I guess you call it a bit of a bang, $1 million horse race, the richest in Oklahoma, any of the breeds, right?
Right. That's the Heritage Place Futurity, which will run on June 2nd, closing night. But it's come a long ways from the days when we met back there in 1990.
Well, that's just amazing. Heritage Place sales, of course, has been going on forever and ever. Great in the Oklahoma City area. But Coach, I tell you, I know, Jamie, you enjoy the horse race, but he was talking about getting over there, and he wanted about post times. Tell us what's going on with post times.
Well, we'll be racing Thursday, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. And Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, it'll be a 6 p.m. post time for night racing. And then on Sundays, we'll start at 1:30 in the afternoon.
We know the thing that really excites me is how that the quarter horse industry has increased in the state of Oklahoma, that you are now having it above New Mexico. I mean, that is unbelievable.
You know, I used to be the general manager there at Ruidoso Downs too, and of course they have the richest single race in the world with the All-American Futurity, but most of those horses get their first starts at Remington Park, and to have $1 million races and to have all our everyday races be worth so much has been a huge stimulant to the horse racing breeding industry in Oklahoma.
Well, now that's what's really excited me when you talk about the breeding of the quarter horses. There are so many in metropolitan Oklahoma City, in that area, central Oklahoma, that people don't realize if you haven't been down there to see them.
Well, Oklahoma is the equivalent of Kentucky to thoroughbred racing. Oklahoma is to quarter horse racing. Most of the great stallions, most of the great mares are all located there, and it's been a huge boon to the horse breeding industry there in Oklahoma. And with the passage of State Question 712 a few years ago, well, it's been 12 years ago now, 13 years ago.
We all fought hard for that, didn't we?
Oh, I'm telling you, you know, I was in South America running a track when that happened, and when it passed, I told my wife, Mellon, I said, you know, I believe Remington Park is going to survive after all.
Yeah.
And the next day the phone rang, and it was our friend Corey Johnson, and he offered me the job, and I came back immediately because I love Remington Park.
How many years have we had Remington Park?
It's been open, this is our 30th anniversary. It opened in 1988. It was.
Wait a minute, wasn't I there and opened the racetrack that day?
I'm sure you were.
30 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, Edward DeBartolo track, right?
Right,
oh,
right.
Just
that year he opened Remington Park, and he won the Super Bowl with the 49ers, and he won the Stanley Cup with the Pittsburgh Penguins. So
not a bad year.
Really.
Well, the stakes just blows my mind. $5.3 million stake schedule in the quarter horse meet, and just also to mix meet, because you also will be running some paints and Appaloosas, which people enjoy too.
That's right. You know, those paints and Appaloosas are colorful. They're fun. Most of them are bred 90% sprinting quarter horse.
Yeah.
So we've had a few of them jump up. We had a horse win 16 races in a row. You know, if you got country grip. A paint.
Remember that, that's right, yeah.
And he won 16 races in a row, tied the record of Citation and some others at that time.
Oh, you know, when you talk about that, I can remember back when racing was like over at Claremore, and then we had a track outside of Okmulgee, and the gambling wasn't illegal, but yet you could bet $5 if you wanted to.
Well, you know, I think
we had some great races.
Yeah. When I was 8 years old, my dad operated a little bush track up at Newkirk, Oklahoma, and I'm sure it would be illegal now, but I made sandwiches at the night and chipped ice for the ice tubs and the soft drinks and everything. And I'm sure there was some betting going on. We didn't have anything to do with it. But my dad joked later on, he said, I taught you everything you know about running.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, my racing career started actually in 1981 at Salsa, Blue Ribbon Downs. We did the Blue Ribbon Futurity, the first of the world's richest non-premiership futurity. My very first telecast, first time really at a racetrack, Scott. And they were talking about, you know, if they win this heat, they get a cooler. I'm thinking, how neat is that? You some put your beer in and stuff. I realize the sheet that goes over the horse. So I had a lot to learn, Scott. You guys sure helped me a lot, I'll tell you. I appreciate it.
Well, I tell you, you've been a great enhancement for Oklahoma horse racing and breeding, and we were very proud to induct you into the Oklahoma Horse Racing Hall of Fame this past December.
Fabulous.
And absolutely.
It
was long overdue, but you're the first broadcaster to be in there.
I know Becky said, you're the first broadcaster? Yes, Anybody else broadcasting horse racing except you? So I appreciate the honor. I'm excited for sure. Again, that quarter horse meet is going to be running all the way through June the 2nd. Thursday, Friday, Saturday night racing, then Sunday afternoon racing at Remington Park. A lot more horse racing to talk about with Scott when we come back, including an incredible thoroughbred season just wrapping up. That's right ahead.
30 years ago, a race began along a quarter-mile of dirt and dreams in Oklahoma City. Today, with the biggest prize money and the best horses, that glittering quarter-mile is home to the best quarter horse racing on earth. Remington Park proudly presents our biggest quarter horse season ever, celebrating 30 years of hard racing fun. World's best, OKC's own, Remington Park.
My name is Junior Itu, and I'm from the Republic of Congo in Africa. The struggle was the language. The culture was a lot different compared to where I'm from. I'm thankful and grateful to be here, and it's a place where I feel like it was a perfect fit for me. The thing I like best about Tulsa and play basketball here is the fans. You know, they come out here every day and show support and show love. From the Republic of Congo, I play for our city.
Back on Oklahoma Sports Scene with Scott Wells, the president and general manager of Remington Park, where they're running their quarter horse and mixed meat season all the way until June the 2nd. That's going to be Appaloosas, paints, but most of the focus on quarter horse racing, the richest quarter horse, the best quarter horse meat in America. But we need to also spend a little time talking thoroughbreds. That's kind of the name of the game at Remington Park, our outstanding thoroughbred track. Finished a great season. Congratulations on so many records there, Scott.
Well, thank you, Chris. It was a terrific season, and we had some good news come our way. Some of it was unexpected, some of it not. But the Springboard Mile, which was our closing day race, a $400,000 race, Churchill Downs decided to include it as a qualifying race for the Kentucky Derby.
All right, so yeah, that's important.
So we had top trainers from all around the country.
10 points for the win on that?
Yeah, it was a 20-point race, 10 points for the win, and something we've been pushing hard for because it's for 2-year-olds that in a month or less are going to be 3-year-olds on their way to the Kentucky Derby. And we named it the Springboard Mile for that very effect. We wanted them to use it as a springboard to the Oaklawn Park races and the Churchill Down races and the Keeneland races that send horses to the Kentucky Derby.
And the winner of that race was also our horse of the meet, thoroughbred horse of the meet, right?
Yes, Gray Vitos. He sustained a very minor injury, a little bit that's taken him off the Kentucky Derby trail, but he'll probably run in the Preakness.
Okay.
He's not far behind, but they said they weren't going to pressure him to run a mile and a quarter.
You know, how has the attendance been? Has it spread as much as the interest?
It has. At Remington, of course, you know, thanks to our ownership, Global Gaming Solutions, a subsidiary of the Chickasaw Nation, they bought us 8 years ago, and they put $15 million in improvements in the first 15 months. So they've put about $30 million into the place since 2010. And it shows with all the accommodations and the creature comforts we have. And of course, you know, our location there, our casino is very productive. And Remington Park, as you know, Chris, from day one, we always tried to have something for everyone. So it's absolutely free. You can spend a day or a night at the races at Remington Park and not spend a nickel if you don't want to.
No charge for parking?
No charge for parking, no charge for admission.
What are some of the amenities that if I just wanted to come and spend the day, what could I enjoy?
Oh, the biggest one's Bricktown Brewery.
Boy, that's
one of our sponsors is there at the track, right?
You know, Henry Hudson's downstairs is fine. Bricktown Brewery is a blast because it overlooks the finish line, and you know it's adjacent to the casino and so on. You know, we have then the private suites, which are not. I mean, most of them are for rent.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like David Vance said years ago. We got everything from T-shirts to tuxedos, and hot dogs to filet mignon.
Well, their 67-day meet. This is these figures, guys. They did 66.8 million, up almost 17%. Export handle of their signal going around the country, 63.8 million, up 8.2%. And on closing day, I remember this, December 17th, the second largest betting day in Oklahoma horse racing history, right?
That's right, and it was the only day that beat it was 29 years ago, and there was a multi-million-dollar pick six carryover. And remember, 29 years ago, there were no casinos in Oklahoma.
That's
The
right.
only place
That's
you
right.
could make a
Yeah.
bet was at the racetrack. And so to hit that 2.9 million mark that day was pretty spectacular and indicative of the quality of racing we had that day. We had 5 stakes races, and they were all really classy races.
I remember what's important to horse players too is big fields of horses,
Right.
and that's tougher and tougher to sustain. You guys had almost 9 a field, right?
Yeah, we were just over 9 per field.
That's great.
You know, the Horse Players Association of North America just ranked all of the tracks in the country. There were 77 tracks that they ranked. Remington Park ranked 4th.
Wow, is that great?
As judged by the horse players for all the things they look for, like field size, quality of competition, and so on. So we were ahead of Keeneland, Santa Anita, you know, Belmont.
How about that, huh? Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Scott.
Thanks.
You guys done a great job over there. Give my best to all our good friends at Remington Park, and we'll send you out a winner. We have a gift for you here, Scott.
Bet. Jimmy's Egg is our
bunch of those don't come to city.
I love it.
You can have breakfast from 6 to 2, or you can have a hamburger.
I'm a regular customer.
There
so
you
All
go.
right. Again, get to Remington Park, the quarter-horse meet, to Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and that'll be all until June the 2nd. Here, the greatest quarter-horse meet in America. Get out there and support them. And of course, we thank you for your support in Oklahoma sports team, Scott.
We
Appreciate
appreciate the coverage, and we want to invite everyone to come out and see it.
Let's go racing. Back in just a moment.
30 years ago, a race began along a quarter-mile of dirt and dreams in Oklahoma City. Today, with the biggest prize money and the best horses, that glittering quarter-mile is home to the best quarter-horse racing on earth. Remington Park proudly presents our biggest quarter-horse season ever, celebrating 30 years of hard racing fun. World's best, OKC's own, Remington Park.
It's got to be real barbecue, right? Not some frozen meat cooked who knows where, who knows when, and then trucked in. No, it's got to be the finest cuts. It's got to be a lot of choices, like 9 different meats. It's got to be fast for dine-in, carry-out, or catering. It's got to be smoked fresh right there that day over aged pecan wood. It's got to be the place where all the barbecue wannabes take a back seat, because they can't compete. It's got to be real barbecue, right? It's got to be Billy Sims.
Billy Sims Barbecue. Eat like a champion today.
At Rogers State University, we keep things personal.
It all starts here.
We make sure our graduates get the most out of their education.
RSU has campuses in Claremore, Bartlesville, and Pryor, with on-campus housing and a wide variety of programs to suit your needs.
It all starts here.
Rogers State University.
Back on Oklahoma Sports Scene with 2 of our favorite people here with the Tulsa World. In fact, the award-winning Tulsa World. More on that in a moment here. This is Kelly Hines, who covers the University of Tulsa and has since 2014. Their exclusive beat writer. And, of course, our friend Barry Lewis here, who is the outstanding high school sports writer here and is going to present our awards for the High School Coach and Player of the Month in Oklahoma later in the show. But, Kelly, we want to start with you. First, great to have you finally on the show with us. You're too busy to get on usually most of the time.
Yeah, right.
I know you've enjoyed the University of Tulsa, and kind of give us an update with TU. I guess that's talk. We had Coach Montgomery on the first 2 segments of the show. You've seen some early spring football, and what are the prospects for TU getting back on the winning track?
It's kind of hard to tell early in spring practice because they have so many guys who are not out there because of injuries.
Right.
You know, I think there were 7 torn ACLs last season, so I think that played a big role, especially on the defensive side with the issues that they had. And obviously, you know, to win only 2 games, they're trying to move past that. But, you know, the quarterback situation is probably the biggest storyline. You know, Chad President isn't out there right now. Luke Skipper is probably the front runner, but there are some other guys who are in the mix. So it's been good to watch, especially quite a few junior college guys who are out there for the first time.
How the junior college guys transitioning into 4-year?
Yeah, I think that they're doing pretty well. You know, the off-season workouts, you know, so with the ability to enroll in January and be, you know, getting a jump start on everything. Quite a few of them are offensive and defensive linemen, so they're able to jump right in. And, you know, there's not a huge learning curve for them. I think especially the offensive linemen, they're counting on those guys to fill some needed spots.
You know, when you lose the coach to Kansas State, did that have a real serious impact on the University of Tulsa?
I think it hurts because, spring ball, I think more the timeline of it was, it was good to get through, signing day without having a coaching change, but then you're trying to jump right into spring practice and to not have a safeties coach. The cornerbacks coach is kind of coaching corners and safeties, so I think they'll have a guy in place soon, but it's been a little different, especially not having Coach Norwood and his leadership, as a co-defensive coordinator, it's just been a little different not having him out there.
That's interesting. When I coached the defensive backs, I coached all of them. We didn't have cornerback and safety coaches and strong safety coaches and everything.
It's amazing. I went over to Stillwater this last weekend to watch Oklahoma State, Kansas, and looked over the Kansas bench. There were like 6 assistants. The Oklahoma State bench had like 5 more assistants too. Unbelievable the staff these guys have. Always good to have you with us here. And of course, a lot of the focus now, high school, it's state tournament time in Oklahoma.
It's a very exciting week. And in most of the classes, I think one thing that's going to make it extra exciting this year is that it's wide open. 6A and 5A, incredibly wide open. In 4A, it looks like Kingfisher is the favorite. Pretty strong favorite since they haven't lost since before last year's state tournament. And then you've got Kingston in Class 3A. They look like they've got a great shot, but everything else really wide open.
Well, I've got to ask you one question. How about Tulsa Webster in Class 4A, because they suddenly have come just out of nowhere undefeated in the state tournament?
Well, Webster looking for its first state title since 1966. You remember that team?
I remember that.
Coach, right? But what a great story. For Tulsa Public Schools, you've got McLean and Webster, both not included in the top 20 entering the postseason, but they've crashed the 4A party, and that just shows you what a tough schedule they play night in, night out in the Green Country Conference that really prepares them for the postseason. McLean, it seems, is underranked constantly, and so they crashed the 4A party. They're in the state tournament, so kudos to McLean coach Cordell Love and Webster coach Scott Bowman.
Yeah, I think they've done a great job, and of course, we have 5 teams still in. And we're excited about that. Our Booker T girls will be up at Sky Took playing, and then of course the Booker T boys with Connolly and his crew, and then of course Bobby Allison, who is a perennial, been to the state tournament every year. We're really excited about all 5 of those teams.
And they're legitimate state championship hopes, definitely for Booker T and Washington. In 5A, of course, they're going to have some tough competition in 5A. Right. 5A is probably the deepest state tournament field as far as quality than I can remember. And so Booker T, who knows, Memorial and Booker T could meet for a 4th time this year. The first 3 have been quite memorable, and so it wouldn't surprise me if they met for a 4th time.
It would be good when they do meet because it would be in the last game of the season.
Wow. Kelly, got to ask you an update on the American Athletic Conference. Playing some impressive college basketball, hoping to get a bunch of teams into the tournament. And the University of Tulsa has had quite a run. Frank Haith, they had put together the longest win streak in the AUC this season, right?
Yeah, and it's been really entertaining these last few weeks. Tulsa's won 8 out of its last 9. Definitely playing its best at the right time. Had a little bit of a rough stretch in January, but I think it just took some time for, they have a lot of depth, but with depth comes the issue of guys trying to find their roles. And I think that took some time for guys like Curran Scott, Daquan Jeffries, coming off the bench, trying to figure out how they fit in. And it's been really entertaining. I think the league as a whole has been really entertaining this season. I think everybody knew Cincinnati and Wichita State were probably going to be, up there at the top. But then a team like Houston kind of came out, I won't say out of nowhere, but they've definitely, I think, overachieved what people thought they were going to do. And then Tulsa, I think, being picked 8th and finishing 4th, that's pretty incredible.
Well, Kelly, I'd like to ask you a question because you see a lot of college basketball. And it seems to me like, and I don't care which level it is on, but the team will play like 5 minutes and just be unbelievable. And then they'll play 5 minutes bad, and it would be unbelievable. Comment on that. Do you?
No, I think you definitely see a lot of runs in college basketball. You saw what Tulsa did to Temple the other night, scoring the first 24 points of the game, and then it kind of evens out a lot. You know, I think especially in the men's game, one team will go on a run, the other team will go on a run. Whereas in the women's game, you see what UConn does, goes up 60-8 in the second quarter. And it's not quite as common on the women's side, but on the men's side, I think that just speaks to the parity. I don't know why it happens in runs like it does, but it makes the game entertaining, I think.
We want to congratulate Kelly, Barry, and all of Tulsa World Sports Department. They got some very prestigious honors. The Tulsa World Sports Department honored by the Associated Press and the sports editors. Their highest honor, the Grand Slam, it's called, during the judging for national sports editors. Congratulations. That's both daily and Sunday. So well done, gang. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thanks, Chris. Michael Peters, our sports editor, does a great job leading us, and our whole administration team, and so we appreciate their support and helping make this possible.
Well, you're also the guy that picks our coach and player, prep player of the month. Who do you have for us for the month just finished of February?
All right, our coach of the month is from Tulsa, Booker T. Washington. The swim coach, Adina Milner, led the Booker T. boys to their first swimming state title since 1985. And also the girls made a great run at a state crown, finishing second. So she wins the Coach of the Month award for February. And our athlete of the month, there were so many really good candidates. But we went with, we could have gone for anyone from Choctaw Wrestling after sweeping dual state and winning the 6A state title. But we're going with Tulsa Edison's Jerome Townsell. Great two-sport standout who's going to try to play football and also wrestle at UCO. He won a state title for the third consecutive year, the first wrestler in Edison history, I believe, to ever do that. He won at 182 pounds in 5A. And so Jerome Townsell from Tulsa Edison is the athlete of the month for winning his third straight wrestling title.
Clean sweep for the TPS gang here. Well done,
Well,
Joe.
you know, our coaches and our kids do such a great job, and I'm so proud of them. And when we have a coach like Adina, you know, she says when she came there 8 years ago, she never thought that she would win a state championship. She just comes to work every day and does it. And of course, our Townsell young man from Edison is a young man, and he has his life planned out. He's going to play football and wrestling at UCO, and then when he finishes, he's going to redshirt 1 year in wrestling, and he's going to South Carolina to get his master's degree and wrestle at South Carolina. He told me that the other day. He said, "I've got it all worked out."
Wow.
Now you know you've done pretty good when you've got kids educated to the point that they're thinking about beyond tomorrow, and he certainly is.
We have some parting gifts for our Tulsa World Sports experts here.
We really want you to enjoy Jimmy's Egg with one
Oh,
of our
well,
sponsors.
thank you.
That's $20. And
Thank
Barry,
you.
you're going to get another Jimmy's Egg.
That's right. Barry, he's got more Jimmy's Egg than Jimmy's Eggs people
He's
have.
all Jimmy's
I
Egg.
love Jimmy's Egg.
He's all Jimmy's Egg team.
So does my wife, yes.
And it's a perfect time for you to sell some Jimmy's Egg right now.
need to
There's
sell some egg.
3 locations here in the Tulsa area, 17 over in the Oklahoma City metro area of Jimmy's Egg. Of course, they're open 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. every day. You can have breakfast, lunch served all day. If you want a burger at 9 a.m., you can have that. If you want bacon and eggs at noon, they'll take care of you there too. What's happening at Jimmy's Egg? How about this? Pancake Happy Hour. Who can't be happy with pancakes? Half-price pancakes from 11 to 2, Monday through Friday. And catering, they'll take care of your catering needs too. So check it out. Also, Easter is coming, Sunday, April 1st, and join them for breakfast. Holiday celebrations will be open on Easter Sunday. Jimmy's Egg, enjoy it.
It's got to be real barbecue, right? Not some frozen meat cooked who knows where, who knows when, and then trucked in. No, it's got to be the finest cuts. It's got to be a lot of choices, like 9 different meats. It's got to be fast for dine-in, carry-out, or catering. It's got to be smoked fresh right there that day over aged pecan wood. It's got to be the place where all the barbecue wannabes take a back seat, because they can't compete. It's got to be real barbecue, right? It's got to be Billy Sims.
Billy Sims Barbecue. Eat like a champion today.
Rising from the plains of Oklahoma is a destination for scholars and thinkers, dreamers and doers. This is where hope, hard work, and integrity create tomorrow's catalyst for change. And excellence is the standard demanded not only of your head, but your heart. This is Oklahoma State University, America's brightest orange.
It's time on Oklahoma Sports Scene, presented by Jimmy Zaig, for our parting shots. And Coach Gil Cloud gets us started.
I want to take a parting shot at our legislature. Our teachers are dying out there. We have no time to waste for our kids. It's important that they listen to what the Education Service Center is saying. It's important that they listen to what all of the educational groups are saying. We need funding for our kids. And thusly, there's one thing that's even more important than that to me as a director of athletics. When we close school down, that means our kids aren't going to be able to play. Is that what you want? I hope not. Let's make sure that you get in touch with your legislator and say, let's get some funding done for public education in the state of Oklahoma.
And when we take a look at what's going on in sports at this particular time of the year and this year, we look at the state tournament in basketball that's going on, the Thunder in Oklahoma City, what's going to happen there, and then we get ready for the NCAA tournament as the teams begin to qualify in that area as well. And then you take a look at the high school spring sports that are coming about for the boys and girls that are playing in the spring. So we just like to encourage you. So much sports going on. Make sure that you support your team and your people.
And I want to talk about March Madness. Of course, it's the greatest time of the year for basketball fans. March Madness, it actually doesn't end until April the 2nd. That's when the championship game is played out at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, Texas. Talk about March Madness. Let's talk about some of the madness that has gone to college basketball coaches. Unbelievable how high these salaries have grown over the years. Number one is Duke, 71-year-old Mike Krzyzewski. He's the winner, of course, of 5 national titles. He's certainly earned it for the Blue Devils. But this year, with his salary and special bonuses, he is set to make $8.9 million. $8.9 million for Coach K. That's about $1 million ahead, by the way, of poor John Calipari, who's got to scrape away at Kentucky with just $7.94 million. One that surprised me, Ohio State's first-year head coach, Chris Holtmann, did a nice job this first season, but he's making over $7 million. Now, the Big 12, the top money man, no surprise here, of course, Bill Self, the Kansas coach, earned every penny of it. 14 consecutive conference championships. Bill Self, a great friend of ours, of course, and a real fan of his. He now makes over there $4.9 million, just under the $5 million mark. Also over $4 million, Michigan State's Tom Izzo and Arizona State's little beleaguered coach there, Sean Miller. 3 other Big 12 coaches, by the way, are over the $3 million mark in salary. West Virginia's Bob Huggins, he's 3.7, while Lon Kruger of OU and Texas Shaka Smart all at $3.10 million, which just tells us again, guys, you're coaching the wrong eras.
Absolutely.
Let's talk what's coming up on our next Oklahoma Sports Scene show on March 21st here on Cox and across the state of Oklahoma. We'll have 2 Hall of Fame basketball coaches on. And, Coach, we should have some fun with Billy Tubbs and Ted Owens in the house.
It can't be any better than that, and any more history of college basketball than those 2 men.
And it will be entertaining with Billy Tubbs from the word go.
Man,
absolutely.
And you better watch it, because don't say something that he could add to.
And you better talk quickly with Billy around too, for sure. Also, the Roughnecks getting their season underway, and their head coach, David Vaudreuil, will be here to talk all Roughneck soccer, and a little special surprise kind of preview the Masters, the big time for golf.
Great golf tournament, as we always know, that the Augusta and opening up. But we'll have a special guest to be able to talk about that with some special insight.
Glad you could join us on Oklahoma Sports Scene, and glad you're watching. Let us know if you have any questions or comments. Send them in to us here. All the social information there is on the bottom of the screen, because I don't know anything about that stuff. I thought Facebook had a handle. I didn't know what that was either. Hey, glad you were with us. Thanks for being with us, Oklahoma Sports Scene, and we'll see you next time. Thanks again.